welcome back to the FitBiz Journey with your hosts Parita Patel and Daniel Neary. And today, guys, so excited to have our guest. It is Theresa DePasquale.
You got it.
Got it.
She actually nailed it.
I have a long list of things because she's had so many accomplishments. Currently, CEO of Bikini Boss Fitness, the best-selling author of Boss to Bikini, WWBF Pro, WBFF Pro, what am I thinking? Huge in the media, social media influencer, big in terms of the fitness industry, as well as elite athlete for First Form, and a coach. I believe I saw that you were actually in New York Fashion Week a couple of years ago.
I was, yeah.
So cool.
And it was like a huge bucket list experience.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And above all else, a mom of two.
Yes.
So thank you so much for
technically
taking time.
4 though, because it's 2 puppies. Too.
And the dogs. They count as well, of course.
So yeah, it's like 4 kids.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here
thanks
today.
for having me. I'm excited.
Okay, so I know we'll be editing it, so it's not going to be
perfect.
Yeah, we can
I'm
mess
easy.
up. Yes. So, well, thank you very much again to being here. I'm so excited because you're one of the fitness entrepreneurs that I look up to, and I've been following you on Instagram.
Thank you.
And I really wanted to start with that. If you could just basically introduce yourself and give the audience why they should listen to this episode, because I know you have so much experience in having your own studios.
Yeah.
Went through basically the good and the bad and the ugly. And then now you have recreated yourself online and have an amazing and thriving brand. So it would be amazing if you could share that.
Sure. So we were kind of chatting about it before the cameras were on, but I've definitely had a long journey to get here. And it's funny because people are like, well, how did you get here? And I'm like, well, honestly, it was kind of by accident because I had no intention of creating this huge brand or online presence. It kind of just happened. And so if you want to start back where I was selling earlier, I actually used to own gyms that were very similar to this. They were more boutique-y, personal training kind of studios. We did group classes on the power plates. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, the vibration platforms. And like I like to say, it was kind of like an Orange Theory before Orange was around, but like on power plates. So we did like 30-minute classes. It was like weights and cardio. It was a great concept. I think the issue was, number one, I was very young, new business owner, new wife, just had my son. My son was 8 months old.
Oh my gosh.
Opened a gym, and then actually got pregnant again, and then lost it, and then ended up getting pregnant again with my daughter. So it was a lot in a very short amount of time, and I was very young, inexperienced. My husband and I were still kind of trying to figure out like how to be married, because or you're married, right?
Yes.
So that itself is a full-time job, just trying to learn each other. And so long story short, we did really, really well in the beginning. Actually, in the first year, we crushed it and broke a profit. And so we're like, okay, well, let's open our second location, because we were doing so good. So we're like, yeah. So we, opened the second location. That's when I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter. And
I'm sorry, so was your husband in the business too?
No. Okay. It was totally my business. I mean, he did invest in it. He was one of the investors, but he wasn't doing anything in the business. And at that time, like I said, we had 2 little ones. So trying to juggle, he had his own business, and we actually owned a World of Beer at the time.
Oh, wow. So you guys did a lot.
It was insane. Yeah. I look back and I'm like, well, no wonder we were like losing our shit. Yeah. So he's a doctor, he's a physician. So he had his clinic, and then we did a World of Beer, and then I had my own thing. And then we opened a second location, and I had a business partner who actually, she was great in the beginning, but we had a lot of differences, and it was kind of one of those things where as a mom, I was in a position where like I was being pulled home because I was not home enough and I wasn't there, and then by my business partner, I wasn't working enough, and it was just a win. I could never win. I was in a lose-lose situation, and I ended up, after a few years, like it was going really well, and then like it just kind of started like fizzling, and my husband and I were having a lot of issues because, like I said, like I wasn't there enough, and so I ended up getting really sick, and I mean like scary sick. And so long story short, we ended up just closing the one club down and selling the other one for like nothing. It was pretty much like nothing. Yeah. So we ended up bankrupting the business, and it was probably the worst time I thought in my life. It was like the worst time of my life, I'm a failure, and like I owed my husband all this money, and like him and I were fighting, and we went through this whole big turmoil. And I'd say like a year went by, and I finally was like, okay, I need to do something for myself, because I'm not like the kind of person that can just stay at home. And that's no offense, people don't want to do that. That's just not me. I don't know how to not work and have my own project or have my own thing. So I told my husband, like, you know what, like I know fitness, but I've never done like the bodybuilding or anything. So now's my time. I'm going to go try it, because I want to learn about it. I don't know what they do. Honestly, it scared the shit out of me. Like the thought of getting on stage in a bikini like terrifies me. I'm like, so I'm going to commit to a show. And he's like, okay. So I ended up doing a show, did horribly, but I liked the fact that it was like really challenging and I wasn't good at it. So I like was like, I'm committing to it and I'm going to win it. Yeah. And so long story short, I ended up with the WBFF, and I did, on my 4th show, I did an NPC one first, but then I did WBFF 3 shows and I won. I turned pro, and I've done a couple pro shows then. But along the journey, it's funny, it's kind of like one of those right time, right place.
Yes.
It's when Instagram was like first coming out. So I was one of the first people on Instagram, like sharing my fitness journey. I call myself an OG. And I'm like the Instagram fitness model OG. And it was just super, like, it was just like like I didn't pay for photo shoots or, you know what I mean? It was a very like just selfie, here's talking about my story, my balancing, like here's what I'm going through, here's what I'm eating, here's what I'm doing. And I started getting a lot of followers. And then from there, you know, I'm really analytical and really quick to learn things. And I learned how Instagram worked. And I built a bunch of like share pages. So you know the ones share for share?
Yes.
And so I used those to build my account. So I used to had a whole business of marketing on Instagram. And so that kind of took off. And then my personal brand got so busy I had to sell the pages because I couldn't keep up with everything.
How many pages would you say you had?
I had 3 different pages.
3 different pages, yeah.
So one was called, you're going to laugh at the name, it was called Squat for That Booty. Do you remember when those squat pages were like really big?
Yeah.
The Kardashians actually followed it. It was a really big page.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, it was when like the whole button squat thing first came out. That it has to be like 5 years ago.
How much, if you don't mind, can I ask how much you sold it for? Like, was it a good amount? Or
No,
just like,
it was like $10,000. So,
okay,
but
to keep it in mind to listeners, that because so many listeners, I think that social media is still not ROI friendly, and they say stuff like that, you know, they can mention.
Oh no, I made a lot of money on it, and and the fact that I was able to build my page, you know what I mean, with those followers, was huge. Yeah. I mean, but it was a lot of time, and honestly, I sold it at the right time, so I didn't even care about the money because that's when the pages started dying. Now it's totally different. You can't do that anymore. If you do share for share, people unfollow you in 2 seconds. But back when it first started, they're like, "Ooh, who's that?" You know, because it was so new. So again, I just lucked out, and I was like one of those like right place, right time. And that kind of led me to like building my entire brand. And it's one of those things, like I never intentionally did it. It's just I realized, wow, people like my thing. So I wrote my first ebook. So I was like, okay, I'm like, let me just try this thing out. And I sold a bunch. And I was like, whoa, okay, wasn't expecting that.
So did you sell it on Instagram?
No, I sold on Instagram, yes. Yeah. And so that was it was Boss to Bikini. Yeah, it was my Boss Bikini Secrets ebook.
It started off as an ebook.
Yeah, gotcha. And then sold a bunch of that, and then created online programs, like made my whole membership website, did all that, and then I ended up like I was ready to put my big girl pants on, so I hired a publicist.
Awesome.
Yeah, and she got me booked on a lot of like really good PR, and ended up taking me to like this big publicity summit where I met a publisher who was like, "No, we want you to write a book." Sure. So I turned that little ebook into an actual like
full book.
Which I didn't bring today.
Yeah,
but
I have one and I didn't bring it either.
I wasn't even I was thinking about your stuff. I wanted to hear about your stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like if you put your head down and work hard and you love what you do, it's just kind of like snowballs. And you know, I'm sure you didn't have this whole vision in mind. It just ended up one thing after another, right? Yeah, and you love it, so you just keep like it's like every next level.
And that's such a big piece of it too, because you have the right reasons behind your drive. It's not like, oh, I just want to be famous or I want to make a lot of money.
You don't. It's actually funny because like when you try to be famous, that's when it screws you up.
Exactly.
I put a post about the other day because I'll never forget. It's funny. Back when I was in my gyms, I would like write out these reality show scripts, and I would tell my husband, I'm like, and he's like, "You're so stupid! Like, you don't need to be on reality show TV." And I'm like, "I'm gonna have a TV show," and he's like, "You need to do something first. Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna have it." So I was like already like manifesting it, and it's funny because now I'm actually cross your fingers involved in a TV project. But it's funny how you try to do things like and it doesn't work when you gotta let the universe like do its thing naturally and put the time in, put the work in, and then it all comes to fruition. That
reminds me also that you mentioned that because I see that you travel a lot. That's one.
Which one?
You travel a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
And you also meet with like-minded people.
Yes.
And also I see that you share their stuff, they share your stuff, but in a good way because you guys educate each other, right?
Absolutely.
So
that's been a huge jump from one level to another.
Yes.
Is who you're around. Like
exactly.
1,000%.
So you're basically agreeing with the saying that whoever you hang out, what's the saying?
1,000%. You are who you hang around with.
Exactly.
The top 5 people or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a hard part of my journey, and I'm sure you can attest to this because, you know, I've grown a lot as a person. Even just in the last couple of years, I actually joined a big business mastermind that I pay a lot of money for, and it was a big investment for me. But you know what it did? It made me commit. And it made me like, okay, I'm not going to go waste this money. Like, I'm going to pay this money to go learn from people who are very successful, and I'm not going to fuck off anymore. So that's been a big thing for me. Sorry, beep.
I love it. I have a note about that later. But continue.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's been a huge catapult in my career, and it's led me to create some like really important synergistic relationships for me. And now like I feel like my career is actually going to the next level. So it's kind of like that saying every next level is going to need a different version of you, and that's so true.
Yes, 100%.
Like I've had a hard time, unfortunately, kind of like not losing friends, but having to not be friends with people that I feel are really truly hold me back, or don't have the same interests or desires, because you know, if you're hanging out with people that are like that, you're never going to get to the next level. No. So it's a really hard decision to make, but you have to decide what your priorities are and make those kind of tough life decisions.
Yep. It's 100%, and they pull you down. I always say that to everyone that I meet, that it's almost like when you cook the crabs and you have more than one pot and don't try to escape, they pull them down.
It's so true. And one of the best things that I explain, like how I make these decisions, is like, have you heard of they talk about the Labrador brain? Which is, Labrador brain is like, it's like you're part of the brain that's like, ooh, what's that? Like, it's fun, it's novelty, it's exciting, whatever, but that's not what's going to get you to the next level. And so I look at people in my life and I'm like, okay, are they speaking to me and like where I want to go, or are they speaking to my Labrador brain? Yeah. And, you know, unfortunately, some of my friends have been, you know, they spoke to my Labrador. They were great friends, and when we want to go drink or party or vacation or whatever, that's not helping me get to my goals.
Exactly.
So you have to be really, really self-accountable.
Do you teach this to your clients too? What you're saying? Because they need that, especially they cannot change their life.
I'm really big with self-accountability. That's my whole thing, is like, if you can't hold yourself accountable, you're not going to get anywhere in life. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to babysit you or hold your hand. You know, you can't look at your life and be like, okay, this is what I have to do, or this is what I have to stop doing, or I have to stop hanging out with this person, or like, you know, what am I doing that's holding me back? You have to like really look at yourself and be able to be like, okay, you need to get your shit together.
And you mentioned that you invested in your like mastermind, like a big mastermind group. So just to share people, because especially gym owners listen to this and personal trainers, they usually don't like to spend money on self-improvement because they don't value it. They would like, oh, I need to get more clients and not self-improvement. But when did you realize that self-improvement might be more valuable than trying to get clients?
I've always just been really big into that. I just put a post up actually a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago talking about like how I got so confident and, you know, became an authority, and it's because I've invested so much in myself, you know, and just really learning anything and everything I can about like whatever my thing is, like the fitness nutrition business. But whatever they're trying to accomplish is like, you have to invest in yourself and make yourself an expert authority in that thing. That's number one. And then number two is, I think that like when you're doing that, like I said, the connections you're making by going to the seminars, going to the events, going to the masterminds, because now you're making these synergistic relationships. You can help each other. You get different ideas. You have people to bounce things off of. It's like an energy. That's been really big and helpful for me as well. You know,
I feel like in the fitness industry, especially like we're hiring all the time, and we have new trainers coming in. Oh gosh, they start off really excited, but they're in this mindset where they're like, I know what I'm doing. And
but they think they're just going to walk in the door and then like, okay, here I am. And like, I'm like, it doesn't work that easily.
There's a lot of work you have to do, and a lot of re-education and self-improvement, because I feel like they come into this mindset like, I know how to train, I know how to coach, and then that's never the case.
Well, anyone that says that knows everything is already doomed for failure.
Correct.
Because the most like brilliant people I know will tell you they don't know things, because that's the sure sign of somebody who doesn't know anything.
How much do you spend on self-improvement? Do you read, or do
I do Audible a lot.
Audible a lot. Okay,
I'm super, because the kids, I'm always going. So Audible, I do Audible in the car. I do Audible when I'm getting dressed, when I'm cleaning or doing anything. I'm listening to books. So that's a huge thing for me. And I find like I go through periods. Sometimes I'm human and I get burnt out and I'm like, okay, I need like a break, and I'm not into it. But then the second I get back on the podcast or the Audible or whatever, I'm like so motivated, so driven, so focused. And so it's like Zig Ziglar's quote, like, you know, just like a bath, like you got to do it every freaking day. Every single day you do. I mean, as soon as you slack off, it's like you start like forgetting about it. So I find that when I'm really consistent with it is when I'm really making a lot of progress.
What's on your current playlist in Audible?
Ooh, good question. I've actually been, it's funny because I've never been a podcast person, and like lately I'm really into podcasts right now. So
glad you're here then.
So I'm starting my own, I think, too. So part of it is like market research. I'm trying to like listen and see what other people are doing. Not to steal their ideas, just to kind of see like what the heck people are doing out there, because I'm not a podcast person. But I listen to the MFCEO Project, is one of my favorite business projects. Do you know Andy Frisella?
No.
He's a good friend of mine. So that's a huge help for me. And then also Bulletproof Radio. Are you familiar with Dave Asprey?
Yes.
I like his information. I think his podcast is, it's not as charismatic.
You'd be a great podcast personality already.
We're starting our own actually, and I'm super excited about it. But I'm getting everything finalized, and then we're gonna have a big launch.
Do you have a name yet, or?
We do, but I'm waiting on the trademark stuff to go through, so I can't talk about it. But it's basically going to be about like our whole concept with it is like shifting your paradigm and taking ownership of your life and your health.
Awesome.
Because like my big passion and my big thing of re-educating people is like people think they're victims to their health, and that's not true.
So many excuses.
So it's like, oh, it's genetic. Okay, it's not genetic. Yes, genes. They say like genes load the gun, your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So you need to be accountable for the decisions you make that affect your health. And so I really want to be part of the re-education of like, you're not a victim to your health. Like you have control of it. You can change your, I don't know if you know this, but my husband, we own functional medicine stem cell clinics.
I didn't know.
So he reverses like really, really sick people. I mean, like people that are like dying. And so to see, like I get the chills. So to see, I seriously like, it's just amazing what they do. But to see people that are that sick get well, anything is possible. The body is like an amazing machine. So if people understand, like we aren't designed to be sick, we're designed to be like a self-healing and self-regulating organism. That's how we're designed. So if you understand that, you know that if something's not working, it's because something's happening that you're doing that's making it sick. So that's really what it is. And also the mental thing, the mental component of it, like being accountable and like changing the paradigm of like own your life. And it's not up to anybody else but you to make a decision.
100%.
So that's kind of like the whole concept of the podcast is like an ownership.
I like it.
Yeah, shift in paradigm.
When do you think you're starting it?
We're starting it soon, but I hope to launch it. I mean, realistically, I want to have a big launch in September.
Awesome.
So, but we're going to be recording in July, hopefully. We're starting everything.
Good.
Yeah,
Very good to hear
thank
that.
you.
Yeah, we're definitely going to listen to that. Yeah.
Super excited about it.
Going to be floating around since you're all over the place,
So my partner is Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. I don't know if you guys found her through Instagram, through me or whatever, but she's a brilliant functional medicine doctor. Yes, she's in New York City. And so her and I are going to be doing the podcast and a lot of the business together. So obviously a lot of it will be her and I, but then just like you guys, we'll have different guests come on. And we are very fortunate. I met her through my mastermind group, and we are in a mastermind group with some of the most brilliant people in the health and wellness space that we have access to.
Do you mind sharing the mastermind group with people?
It's called Mindshare Mastermind.
What is it?
Mindshare.
Mindshare. Okay,
They're actually having a big summit in August in California. It's not my mastermind group, but it's put on by my group, which is an amazing event. So you don't have to be part of the closed mastermind to go. But I highly recommend if you're into like the health and wellness.
I was about to say, would you recommend to gym owners or personal trainers or?
Oh yeah, anybody that wants to make an online presence or have an online business or here's the thing is like when I had my gyms years ago, it was just starting with Facebook, just starting with Instagram. Now it doesn't matter if you own a gym here, you have to have an online presence.
Yes.
If you don't, you're toast because people, not only are you missing out, but that builds your brand equity and brand credibility. So it doesn't even matter if you're in here, you still have to build your online brand.
I mean, look at Orange Theory for that matter.
Absolutely, exactly.
Or Equinox, technically, they are crazy with the pictures, the shows,
or the Soul Cycle lady, Stacy.
They all have such a unique brand too, and it's because they were viral in some cases.
But so the owners now, they want to know the owner story, like who's the owner, how did it start, what did you do, why should I go there? Because there's 5,000 gyms everywhere. So what is your story? And people want to connect with you, and it builds like Gary Vee says, it builds a brand equity.
Well, that reminds me. So since you're on the topic, then what do you recommend to like gym owners to have their own personal brand and they have their own business brand as well,
Absolutely,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
So both.
Yep. So it's just like my husband. I try to tell him like you can talk for NSI as the stem cell company that we have, but you need to have your own identity because people want to know they want to know who you are as a person, and especially people that are coming and giving you thousands of dollars for health and wellness, whatever. They want to know that you're not going to scam them. In our industry, there's so many scam artists with weight loss and whatever. So people are very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're very
they have their guards up.
Exactly.
Because they don't know what to trust.
They're like, oh, okay, it's another scam or another gym or another whatever. So you got to really show them like, I'm a good person. I really care. I'm in this for the right reason. We get results. And that's your way of doing it and like showing who you are as a person.
And you can do that all over social media, including Yelp, everything.
Everything, No. I think it's so important. I think a lot of people that have like brick and mortar businesses miss the boat with that because they think like, oh, I don't need that. I'm like, yes, you do. This is 2018. Yes, you do. You need to have an online presence.
So what would you recommend to anybody who will start out a business? Would you recommend them to have a brick and mortar location, like an actual gym open physically, or going to online?
It depends on what their goals are. I personally don't. I miss the gym, like I was telling her, because I miss the camaraderie. I miss training people one-on-one. I miss having my own little, place. But I don't miss being married to it because especially if you have a membership gym. See, you guys are more personal training, so it's different. But I had a membership gym. If you have a membership gym, I was dealing with things. I mean, we were open from 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning until 10 at night. So I'm on my phone, and so it's like I felt like I didn't have that. I didn't have a life, that was what I didn't like about it, and I felt like I couldn't be the mom I wanted to be. That's why I really like online, because I'm at my kids' soccer and dance and cheerleading.
You can still do it.
I'm doing whatever I need to do, exactly. And I'm like, okay, mommy's gonna do an email. But for me, it works better. But some people love having a gym and they do online. I know a lot. Actually, most gym owners I know now are doing both. They're doing in person and they're hybrid now online for the clients that can't make it in, or even just their own online. So I mean, I think it's going to be to whatever suits your interests and what what you're happy doing.
And how much time do you spend on social media right now? And which one is your main platform?
Instagram. I mean, I do Facebook too, but Instagram is I'm always on Instagram. Yeah, that's my biggest thing. It's always been really good for me. Simply because it's kind of like a little personal vlog almost. Yeah. Like I never did Twitter thing. Twitter's dying anyway.
Yes.
But it's funny when it was big and I'm like, I cannot get out what I want to say in 140 characters. I was like, this is not my platform because like I'm too like verbose and I just keep talking. And so I'm like, this is not going to work for me. So Instagram's always been good for me to be able to like, it's kind of like a little personal blog with like a journal, you can put your pictures. So that's just been my favorite platform to go. I haven't done YouTube yet simply because I don't have the time. I'm getting to a point now where I'd like to start, and like I feel like that's a whole other thing I have to learn. So I've already mastered the Instagram, so it's easy for me.
Well, now you might not need to, right? Because Instagram has that video capacity.
Exactly, so I know.
You're good to go now.
I was just, but I still got to do the videos and like learn the whole thing. But yes, exactly.
So your podcast. So do you think you guys are gonna do also, video as well? Or just
I think we will. Yeah, I mean, I think people want to see like the video aspect of it. Absolutely, and it's like killing two birds with one stone. I hate that saying.
And the reason
they need to have a better saying than that.
You can
killing two birds.
Sad.
You can just cut it up into pieces and put it all over social media as well, like Facebook and Instagram. So there we go, your YouTube channel.
I mean that's pretty much what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I think podcasting is huge, and I like that right now. I mean, I don't know, it's gonna go this way, but there's no algorithms on it. There's no, you can say whatever you want on it, and even though.
It's a voice.
You do have to pay, but you have a lot more freedom. It's not like now on Instagram, if I don't get engagement, my things don't get seen. It's like silly, So I like that podcasting. That's why I'm excited to get it going.
And we just started this, right? I was saying that this is I think episode 14 or 13, something like that. And funny thing is that we already got into the top 200 podcast list.
Awesome.
Well, we are not on there every single day and week, but last week I got a notification that we made it to the top 200.
That's so great.
We just did it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
So cool.
So now is the time to get into it. That was my point. I'm so glad you're doing it because you're going to kill it.
I'm excited, like honestly, like with my book, I was like, I had to be number one, but this one I'm not gonna like stress about all that. Obviously, I want to get ranked and get ratings and all that, but I'm just really excited to have a place to put like my message out because I feel like there's, I talk to a lot of people on social media, and there's so much that people don't know.
Yeah,
right.
And it's like I'm going to do this nutrition talk now, and it's to a group of women who are very beginner, very basic, and like part of what I'm going to teach them is how I started, because like I found most people, it's not that they don't want to, they don't know, they're not educated,
100%.
They don't get it. So it's like being able to put the information out for people and teaching them these these things and like shifting their paradigm and empowering them to take control of their health. Like that's my most favorite thing.
One of the first things I saw on your Instagram that stood out to me was the empowering women through fitness. Loved that.
Well, because I see it every day, and that's really what my brand has become about. It's not just fitness, it's like you change people's lives. When you learn that you can change your body and you can have willpower, and that trickles over into like every area of your life. Look, I get like very stuff. I love what I do.
I was about to say you love what you do.
Yeah. So it's just like watching these women go from like hating their bodies and like feeling like and then watching them now, they're like, I want to do a show, and like it's like they get so empowered, and then they feel amazing, and they want to be a coach, and they're helping other people inspire. So it's really cool. It's very fulfilling what I do.
I know that
I'm sure it's the same thing. Like helping anybody improve their life and make money and do all that. It's very fulfilling.
We have big dreams at 40 Fitness, and that's what everything that you're saying just ties in so well with exactly what we're trying to do as well. So that's awesome.
It's awesome.
And then in your case, so I did not like. I mean, I love helping people. That's what I do. So now I'm just doing it on the business side. But before it was all the fitness side, and didn't really enjoy that because I felt like I would love to do the other way around. And then I like working with trainers, and I like on the business side. So I switched completely around, and I'm getting the same messages that you are, except on the business side, not from gym owners.
Well, that's that's why now I'm doing my first. It's actually my second, but my first real big event. The Business Mastermind course. I'm doing it in Encinitas, California in August. And like, so what I found was, as a natural progression, people would go through my program. I would help change their lives. They'd be empowered, and then they'd be like, I want to do what you're doing. I want to be involved. So I created this whole mentorship and coaching program that I would do like testing and make them a coach, and this whole thing. But then it was like not enough. So I'm like, okay, I need to create a program that's like a legitimate whole coaching program for these girls to learn how to be me. So you business development, social media, because they don't know anything. No, and it took me 13 years to learn it. So I'm like, I was thinking, I'm like, I was getting at my mastermind, I'm like, I'm paying these people to shortcut and like teach me, so I don't have to go through 15 years of learning what they're doing. I'm like, why don't I create something that these women could just like, I could literally just give them all my expertise and they could be like, okay. So that's kind of how that came to fruition, because it's just like a natural they just kind of like go through, and it's almost every woman that I train.
Yeah.
They get empowered, they love it, they want to be part of it, they want to do what I do, and they don't really know how to start or what to do. So.
And you're so real with people. Some of the
Yeah.
posts that I saw, like, I mean, just 100% open in everything that you have to say, and that's fantastic because that's what I think people get babied a lot, and you have to give it to them straight for them to actually be able to change the right way.
Yeah, I mean that's what they say. Not everyone's going to like you. I'm sure some people don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, look at Gary Vaynerchuk. Well, he has lots of haters.
Yeah.
But,
not everyone's going to like you, but
no.
Yeah.
So what would you say about because what people are afraid of, because usually they ask, what do I put on social media? And most of the time I say what you know the most, but then they get all defensive because they're like, well, you're going to give away, so you want me to give away all my free content? So what do you say to that?
So when I first started, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, me too.
I honestly thought the same thing, and I'm like, what am I going to, I'm like, I don't get it. And then I realized, like, if you're a real, there's always something to post. There's always new things to post. If you're learning and doing what you should be doing and investing in yourself, you're going to be learning new things, and then you're going to have more things to post.
Yes.
And then you kind of evolve as a brand too. Like, I don't just talk about fitness. Actually, like that's like now it's kind of even a smaller part of what I do. Now I'm more of like personal empowerment, women empowerment. Like that's more of my personal brand. So it's kind of like evolved. Yeah. But it is, when I first started, I thought the same thing. I'm like, why would I give everybody everything I need to know? Like these free ebooks. And I'm like, no. And then I realized, like, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you should always have things to talk about and new information and, learning.
You're going up.
Yes.
And you're giving back. You're doing your due diligence because whatever you learn, you're passing it down, and you're just keep.
And you're also establishing yourself as the go-to and the expert.
Yes.
So then they're going to come to you for the next thing, the next piece of advice. So I think that definitely pays off.
We should doing speaking engagements too, right? You have one tonight.
Small, yeah. I'm not doing anything big. Like honestly, it's not that I don't hate doing them. I don't love doing them. I kind of do them. I love helping people, but I'm not trying to do speaking engagements yet. I'm sure as my career gets more and more, I'm going to have to. But right now, what I do is like I have coaches that work for me, and I'll go to their gyms and help them. Like kind of just get their women motivated, or like talk to them, or teach them. Yeah, so I do kind of stuff like that a lot.
Yeah. It's like a boost to everything that they're doing if your presence is there.
Yes, and just like I said, telling them my story, because they look at me and they're like, like, how do I get to that? And I'm like, no, I was just like you. I was unhealthy and drinking sodas and smoking cigarettes when I was 16. Like, I was very unhealthy.
Sure. And,
cystic acne and eczema and ADD and all these things. And so, like, I learned about the body and changed my life. Absolutely. And so that's kind of, like, why I'm so inspired and help others do the same.
Yeah.
What would be your number one thing that you think you learned from, let's say, the past when you had the studios, and then the number one thing that you also learned from your online presence? Well, let's start with the past.
For business?
Yes, for business.
For the number one thing for online and in studio is to get a competitive advantage, you need to have a community. And I think that is the biggest thing. That's why CrossFit's killing it. That's why especially people that are in one location, because what's to keep your person from going across the street?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you have a studio like this, like part of our thing was like you can only get them so many results to start plateauing because you need like weights and then you switch it up. So what keeps them here is community.
Yes.
You need to really develop that culture and the family.
Right, absolutely.
So I think that's my number one for both online and.
And were you doing that when you had your studio, or you learned it as you were?
A little bit. I mean, I was kind of accidentally doing it.
Okay,
like we would do things like we would have like parties and get-togethers and ladies' nights, and so we were doing it, but I didn't like consciously. I wasn't like I need to build a community.
Yeah,
we were just doing it, but now I'm like, okay, with Bikini Boss Chicks, I know what I'm doing, and I was like, not that I'm doing it like. I'm doing it intentionally, but like I'm doing it because I actually love it. I love seeing so now with my girls, I love when they're a team and they're on all over the place, all over the world, and they're commenting each other's things. Now they're friends. They meet up at shows. Now they're friends. They're posting selfies, and it's like I feel like a proud mom.
Yeah.
So it's really cool because we have like our own little team and community. So now I do it more with intent, but back then, I was kind of just like, accidentally doing the right thing.
So number one, creating and building a community and being active in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
A
Very good.
culture too.
Yeah, the culture. Yeah. For the clients, for the people, everybody working in it, right?
Yeah. Because that's what's going to keep them here. Because like there's competition everywhere you look.
Everywhere.
So what makes you different is building something that they can buy into.
There's so many small businesses now. So I wanted to ask her this question. Where do you see the future of the fitness industry going? You have kids right now. As they get older and everything's changing so much right now, where would you like for it to go? And where do you see it maybe actually going?
Gosh, that is a
big question.
Loaded question. Big question. I'm like, I honestly think I'm going to follow up with the community thing again. I think really what you're going to see prevail is things that make people feel like they're part of something. And it could be a competitive thing, or it could be just like a CrossFit gym, or or studios, I think the most successful things are going to, because we are more connected now and we're more disconnected than we've ever been. And so people are really longing for that connection. And so anything that can make that, like the mud runs, or, you know, you're seeing people come to these things because they want to be connected to people. So I feel like that's going to be the things that prevail in fitness. And, you know, even like these chains, I mean, within reason, like Curves obviously open and close down. But like you're saying, Orange Theory, it's because they like do the runs together and they have a culture. And I think that's what you're going to see make it through, you know, all the different like changes that we have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think obviously online training, all that will be there, but what's really going to prevail with the brick and mortar, I feel like, is the ones that really establish that like culture.
Absolutely.
For sure.
We are planning on having our own cooking show at each studio, so the clients can come in and actually cook inside the studio with tabletops and everything.
Oh, that's fun.
Let's try to build community.
They love stuff like that. And it's funny, like I said, we used to do it because we wanted it. Because we're like, oh, girls' night. We would set up like all these vendors and have wine and like the what's the not dry farms, but the organic wine. And we have like tarot card. And we didn't realize like it was making a huge community, because now we're all friends, and so I mean that worked really well for us.
And they came with you obviously everywhere in your big journey. So
it was fun. It's fun. A lot of them still follow me, and they're like, like, we wish 5 was open. I'm like, I know.
Aww.
It was fun, sweet, but it's not fun when you're, you know, killing your husband and you are divorcing over it. And
that's not good.
No.
I'm very open and honest about it, because I feel
Love
like
it.
it honestly was like a really bad, dark time in my life, because it was just, I felt like a big failure. Like I said, I got sick, but now I look back and I'm like, I could never be where I am if I didn't go through that debacle. If I did not learn, I learned so much from that failure that I could never be where I am now. So you have to take everything that you know, all the failures, and use them as catapults to success.
And you're obviously successful now, so you obviously
read
everything and build it. Exactly.
But back then, I didn't think, I was like, my life is over. I'm
of course.
And most people just do that.
And then they give up and move on, go back into a corporate job or whatever the case is.
Oh gosh, no.
You know, I was just in Arizona, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because there was a guy who actually had 8 studios at a time, but when I mean studios, 40,000 square feet, so real big gyms.
Gym,
And it was 2008. And so the crash happened. And
that's exactly when ours was.
Oh, okay, so kind of worst time, And so the same thing happened with him, except, I mean, he had operations were going amazingly, so the gym was going great and everything, except they also bought the real estate, and real estate also tanked, so they couldn't afford it. Double whammy right there, so they had to close down, I believe 3, or it was. Either way, they went bankrupt, and then they had to start over from scratch, and the operations actually, I believe, did not make it through it. And then they had to start from scratch, but that was in 2008, and now it's 2018, and now they have 18 locations.
So awesome.
So he rebounded, and it's
all
for
laugh at people with bankruptcy. I'm like, okay, if you're entrepreneurs go, like, that's just like a normal thing. If you're going to take a huge risk financially, you're going to go bankrupt at some point. I mean, look at Donald Trump. I mean, that's part of the whole game. I'm like, I'm not embarrassed about it, because I'm like, it's what you do. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're taking a big risk. You know, you're investing a lot of money, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it's what
happens after. That's what it's matters.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I back then I thought life was over, but now I like look back and I'm like, I could never have gotten where I am without going through all that. You know, so it's just using it for the good.
So I hope you guys are listening, because all of you entrepreneurs and personal trainers who are considering to be entrepreneurs, I mean, up or down, you just got to keep trying. That's the number one thing.
Yeah, you only fail if you give up, if you stop and you're not trying to continue. We're moving on.
It's only a failure if you quit.
Yeah, exactly. Don't quit. And I wanted to bring you up, I'm stealing this from somebody. I was on a podcast and they asked me this question. I thought this was a brilliant question. They said, if in the whole world, everywhere, and you get it, the billboards for a month for free, what would you put on those billboards? Like, as if you get it. All of them, all over the world.
Oh my gosh, what would be your message? I have no idea. It would probably be something along the lines of like my whole philosophy, which is like teaching people that you're not a victim to your health. You know, that's like my biggest thing, is that it's just, it makes me really upset. Like, I've got a couple of like really vivid moments in my head that really struck me, that I'm like, I have to do something about this. Like, this is a more recent one. I'll never forget, I was at the Sampro pool, and I saw this little boy. He was probably like 3, and he's just riddled with eczema everywhere. And I still suffer from eczema, like when I don't sleep or when I do it, whatever. But he had it everywhere, and I'm watching this boy like scratch and bleed, and the mom is just probably really uneducated and doesn't understand it's his diet and you know, all these other things.
Most people don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. And so I was like almost in tears. I'm like, this poor little boy is like he's suffering so bad because they don't know. It's not because she would never intentionally do that. She's just so uneducated. So like that really like fuels me to try to get these messages out there, like to help people. So it's more like, that's my thing, is like teaching people like, no, like you are not a victim to your health. You can change anything that's going on with you.
Yeah.
You know, with proper nutrition, giving your body what it needs to work right.
Did you see the Netflix most recent documentary? What the hell?
Not the what the hell?
Yeah, but I saw the thing about the cancer.
Which one?
There was one woman on there who was telling a story about how she was diagnosed with cancer, and then she completely changed what she was eating and was cured.
Yes, yeah.
That spoke to me because that's a huge difference.
Well, so that's kind of like something similar that I went through is like I had a bunch of, after that whole thing, I had tumors on my neck. It was like a whole big thing.
Oh my God.
And I went to, I don't like saying I have cancer because I was never technically diagnosed, so I'm not like a cancer survivor or anything. But I ended up having I woke up with golf balls and thing in my neck. That's why my husband was like, you're closing the gym down, because I was like, I'm killing myself. So I went, there's a guy here in Tampa, Dr. Garcia, I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yes.
But he does alternative cancer treatment, because I went to an ENT and they're like, you have lymphoma, like you need to go to, whatever. And my husband's very holistic. He's like, no.
Yeah, never.
My husband's like, he's like, you're not going to chemo. So we went to Dr. Garcia. Long story short, I didn't even get an initial scan. I actually went right in. He did like IVs, detoxing, colonics, believe it or not. Emotional therapy is a big one, the emotional stuff. And 12 days later, they're gone, completely gone. Wow. And then I got a scan. There was nothing. So that's why I don't like say that, but it was a massive, scary, horrible, crazy experience. And I was sitting in the room, in his room, with everybody with end-stage cancer, like just bad stuff, and he was curing them all with nutritional supplements, vitamins. Yeah, insane. I saw it. I mean, I was talking to people that had. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing what the body can do if it's in the right environment.
Sure.
So diet and this. People don't realize how much. That's why he puts you through the emotional therapy, because if this isn't right, you can create illness in your body. Yeah,
this the placebo effect. I mean, there are so many books that I read myself about my mindset, and there's literally tests when they give sugar pills to different people, and the people that they tell this is a real pill, and you get into sugar pills, and it's the switch off.
Oh yeah.
They still get the results even though it's with sugar pill.
Because the mind,
because
absolutely.
The mind, yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah. Like he, have you heard of Bruce Lipton?
Yes.
So he's real big. He'll make you watch like Biology of Belief, and Dr. Garcia does, because he teaches people like it's all in the mind.
Yep.
So it's just, that's part of like why I'm so passionate about it, because like I understand how in control you are of your health. I mean, it's everything from this to what you put in to it's anything that's happening to you is a direct reflection of what you're doing in your lifestyle, and that it could be from your brain and emotions too.
And trainers and personal trainers, personal trainers and gym owners and all these people have to understand that too, because they really need to teach it to their clients as well. Yeah. So it's important that they understand. It's
hard because, we've been so indoctrinated that like, it's genetic. And they, but they want us to think that because they want us to take drugs. Like, if we can't help it, then we're going to take drugs. And so we have to get over that whole dogma that we've been taught. And so some people get it like that, and other people like, still don't get it, but I think we're making a lot of progress. But I'm excited to get my thing and put my message out there, and Dr. Gabrielle and I are gonna start trying to make like a serious change.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very glad to hear.
A movement.
Great. Yes. That's
a big community.
Yes.
So what would be, before we wrap up, unless you have some couple of things to bring up or anything?
I was just gonna ask the last questions, but you probably are gonna ask them anyways.
Okay, cool. So I was just gonna ask that, what would you recommend to our listeners, the gym owners, personal trainers mainly? So what would be a number one recommendation for each? Let's start with personal trainers. What would you recommend them so they can be more successful in their field or with their clients?
Become the best at what you do. Like there's nothing, if you know your shit, people are going to come to you.
Yes.
Like for example, I'm going to tell you right now, like I'm a higher profile person. I will not go to someone and pay them unless they're better than me. Yeah. So like if I go to, like you're not going to get clients like me to come in unless you're like Theo. Yeah. Like I'll go pay him because he's amazing. Yeah. So if you are going to be a personal trainer and you want to have a really good business and command a high dollar, you have got to invest in yourself and be the leading go-to person.
Become the key person of influence. Yeah, 100%.
Beautifully put.
Yep, and how about gym owners? Same thing.
Of
course, they have to have that.
Same thing, but again, I'm going to go back to the community thing. It's just really making sure you have like a culture and core values, and you're in it for the right reason. Your team and your trainers are exuding that same. Like for me, for the Bikini Boss chicks, I have a strict guideline when they sign their ambassadors or coaches that they are following this handbook of what our core values are, culture. Yeah, because I don't want them out there posting and they're out if there's anything that's not in line with what we're about. So really, just having the core values or mission statement, whatever you want to call it. Exactly. And living by that. Yeah.
100%. Thank you very much. I mean, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We could go on all day.
I could talk all day. Can you tell?
No, but it's all good information, so we need
It's
this.
such valuable information.
I'm like, oh my
I can't
gosh.
wait to get this episode out.
I know everyone's like, you need a podcast. I'm like, I know.
Yes, you definitely need a podcast.
I'm gonna get one.
How best can people find you?
Instagram is my main platform.
Best
Like I
one.
said, it's
Yep.
Theresa Theresa DePasquale Fit. And I'm on Facebook as well, Theresa DePasquale Fit. Those are my two main platforms, and I do my Insta stories and everything. So.
And how about your book, so they can also pull
Oh, my
up
book
on
is
Amazon?
Boss to Bikini. You can actually get it at bossbikini.com on Amazon or on my website, which is bikinibossfitness.com.
Perfect. We'll include all of that in the show notes. as
Yeah,
well.
awesome.
And there any way we can help you, or that our listeners could help you, or anything, or anywhere you are stuck, or any information that you need?
You guys can help me, because if you can see how passionate I am about the movement that I'm trying to create, so when I have my stuff ready and I'm ready to launch it and really like help more people, I would love it if you guys can at least spread that word and get that message out there for me. That would be like a really big deal for me.
Yeah, sounds great.
So-
And then the people are gonna share it here, and then once we're gonna update this episode too. So
Yeah.
once we finish this and you have everything out, we're gonna just post it in there into the actual episode to begin with.
I'm really trying to, like I said, create. It's not about me. It's like really about like creating a movement of everybody trying to help other people like learn what we know, and just spread the movement. So.
All right, thank you very much. We
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys. So please find her. She's amazing. And thank you. Please rate our episode, please, because we would really appreciate it. So we know you're giving you good feedback. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our actual podcast channel. Thank you again. All right, that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
This was
Yeah,
great.
thanks.
Oh, sorry.
Fantastic.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
No,
thank
thank you
you.
for coming all the way out here. Well, we're kind of going this way, right?
I live in
Channel side.
But I'm actually going. It's funny. I'm going to New Jersey.
So,
Perfect time. So I'm going straight up the coast now. I'm gonna go eat and then.
but this is for you. It's nothing, but thank you very much for
Oh,
coming.
thank you.
Yeah,
I need your restaurant.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's in the back.
Right over there.
And thank you again. It was amazing.
I know.
Yeah,
That was
of
fun. We
course.
love this. So.
I know. Are you guys getting a lot of local guests? Are you call-ins or what are you doing?
Yeah, and we have lots of out of the state too. Everything. Yeah.
Cool. You're well connected to the fitness community here, though, aren't you? So you know a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The right door right there. Yes.
What's up, is it? Do you like the podcast? You should like the podcast.